Hi guys, Kristin here. I am sitting outside. This is probably a little disorienting. It looks like I have buildings and sky behind me, but what's actually happening is that's a reflection. So I don't know if you can see it now. There's the windows and the balcony I'm sitting on, and there's the actual buildings behind me, but they're very nicely reflected right there. So I am sitting outside of my apartment right now because my boyfriend's working from home today unexpectedly. He normally works in his office on Thursday, so I normally have the apartment to myself, and I can. Oops, sorry, I hit my mic. I can normally do these videos in peace and quiet. But in addition to him being home, our cleaner is also here today. So I have nowhere inside the apartment to sit and do this call. I have never done this outside before. We are overlooking a very busy street. So, once people start hopping on, would you let me know how bad the background noise is? Can you hear the cars and trucks and stuff so loudly that it's hard to hear me? I know, especially when you have severe chronic fatigue, it can be really hard to listen to things for a long time. And if the background noise is making it too hard for you to focus on me and like tease out what I'm saying, let me know, and maybe I'll try to move back inside. Because if you guys can't hear me, if it's too hard to distinguish my sound, my voice from the background noise, then there's no point in doing this. So let me know about the sound quality. It's also a little bit cold, so I am bundled up out here. I just finished eating lunch, and I think I have something in my teeth. I should have checked my teeth first. Excuse me, guys. Hang on, I'm gonna turn the camera away for a second. Okay, I think I'm better. I don't know what I was gonna say there. So if this is your first time watching my channel, if you're new, then welcome. I'm going to give you a little intro about what my channel is, from chronic fatigue to chronic abundance, and what I do here. Every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I go live to answer your questions. It is a live streamed Q&A I do every week. And I am out of my normal element. I'm feeling discombobulated. The whole point of this is for me to show up and answer your questions. I can sit and try to talk for an hour about stuff that I think you think is important, but I'd rather really just hear it from you. The way this works is you show up and you start typing up your questions and pop them in the chat over here, and then I work through them in order and just start answering your questions. No question is too big or too small or too weird or too personal or anything like that, as long as it has to do with life with severe chronic fatigue. Yeah, so any questions you have, happy to talk about it. And normally we get some people on and we get a little bit of like back and forth going in the chat. I love it when you guys show up and start talking with one another directly, like creating a little bit of community there and extra support, because this isn't just about me. I'm not the guru on how you're going to heal. I'm one voice trying to help guide you on that journey, okay? And the other voices can be helpful, and we all can use a little more support from people who understand us and believe us by default, right? Hey, Raf, I'm outside because my apartment has other people working in it right now. Short story. So there's no like quiet place for me to sit and do this inside. So I'm trying to be outside. Let me know how bad the background noise is. I am overlooking a very busy street here in Philadelphia. So if the background noise is too bad, I'll move inside, but you need to tell me how it is because I don't know. I tested the audio by doing a recording and I didn't think it was too bad, but on the YouTube live stream, I don't know how it actually sounds. So that's why I'm at home. I'm just outside at home because my apartment's overtaken by other people who are working. Let's see, where was I going? Oh yeah, for people who are new, what we talk about on this channel is primarily what I call the healing mindset, the mindset that helped me heal from severe chronic fatigue on 3 separate occasions. I don't talk about all of the doctors and supplements and blood work and treatments I needed to heal because they were different each time, okay? I am one person and I needed 3 different healing plans to get better each time. So there wasn't one healing plan for me. There's no way there's one healing plan I can share with all of you that's going to work, okay? And it wasn't just like a strict, like I found a healing plan and I got better each time. Each and every time I healed, it was a process of trial and error. I had to try a lot of things that didn't work before I found the things that did each time. So those are really, really important things to know, that you're on this journey to find what you need to heal. And what you need to heal is likely different from what anyone else needs to heal. Okay, Raf. The audio is fine. Glad to hear it. So my boyfriend works from home sometimes. He usually works in his office on Thursdays, but today things got switched up and he's home today. So normally I'd be in the office recording this while he's gone, but he's in the office now, and our cleaner is here working in the rest of the apartment, and she's pretty like noisy when she's cleaning, there's vacuum cleaners and stuff going on. So inside's not an option. Inside is way noisier than outside is right now. So it's cold out here. I've got my down jacket, my fur keeping me warm. I'm fine. I just was worried about the noise. And okay, so I was talking about, for newbies, what we talk about here, what we don't talk about here. And the reason I talk about mindset is for a couple of reasons, because mindset was the one thing that I needed every single time I healed, okay? Like I said before, I used different doctors, different supplements, different blood work. I needed different everything each time I healed. And mindset was the one thing that kept me going, right? It's really hard to heal even once. Most people don't even heal once from severe chronic fatigue, okay? Regardless of their diagnosis, or even if they don't have one, most people don't get better from this. And relapsing is extremely emotionally difficult. I tell you what. I mean, when you relapse once and then again twice, your soul and your belief that life can be better really, really gets tested. And I think for all of us, we hit moments where we wonder, like, why keep doing this? This isn't life. This isn't living. The doctors say I'll never get better. This is too hard. This isn't fair, and it's really easy and normal to get caught up in that stuff. But the healing mindset helps us get out of that. And it helps us create more motivation to keep going, and helps give us hope when we need it most, when times are really, really hard. It also teaches us how to save a little bit of our energy every day. We're not going to waste as much energy on those heavy emotions when we have the right mindset. We're going to spend more time in those lighter emotions that give us more energy, okay? So like the healing mindset is not going to heal you 100% probably, okay? You're going to need other things, but what it does is it's going to keep you going, and it's going to help give you the right inner world, a happier, brighter, more positive, more motivated inner world to keep going, and to keep searching for the doctors you need, and to keep fighting for the blood work, and to keep searching for the supplements and treatments that you need, and to keep you going through all of the time and expense of trial and error to find what you need, okay? That's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do. And that's why I'm looking for your questions. Hi, Nika. Welcome. All right. This person is getting reported and removed. I'm just going to call that harassment. Okay. Just a second. I always forget which thing I need to hit to like remove them. I need to remove their comment. Oh, there we go. Okay. I need to remove the comment, and then I need to like hide the user. Okay. They're hidden. They're gone. Raf has a problem, but he feels it's too inappropriate to talk about. I personally am comfortable talking about just about anything, like real life encompasses all of this stuff. So the one thing I would say is I'm a woman and you're a man. If it's that kind of issue, I may not be able to relate to you and help you specifically. But if it doesn't have to do with that, I'm okay talking about it, Raf. It's up to you whether you feel comfortable sharing it on this channel. Give someone I trust mod powers for scammers like this. Yeah, I know it's I'd like to do that, Raph, but I know that it's really hard for anyone here to commit to being on every single live stream I do for the entire duration. Because everyone here is really ill and they can't make that kind of commitment, and that's okay. You know, I don't want to expect them to do that. So I just need to get a little faster about getting on top of that nonsense when it happens. So if you feel comfortable asking the question, you know, semi publicly to everybody in the chat here, you can submit it to me another way. You could submit it if you go to the Facebook group. If you're part of the Facebook group, you can submit it there. When you submit your own post on the Facebook group, it doesn't go live automatically. I have to approve everything before it goes live because I just want to make sure that the questions being asked are appropriate and that we don't get anyone spammy in there. And if you send that to me, like submit a post in the Facebook group, I'll see it. And if you ask me not to post it, I won't post it, but then you can send that message to me and I will see it. And then I can like address it in a future live stream or something if you don't feel comfortable talking about it. But if you're worried about me being uncomfortable, I'm good talking about it. Almost anything. So let me think. Last week I was pretty sick and I was pretty out of it. And Lisa totally called me out on pushing myself a little too hard last week. I'm all good. I spent the rest of the afternoon actually just like chilling and resting and recovering and drinking tea. And, you know, my cold didn't like get any worse from pushing myself for that hour. It was just a little hard during that hour, but I was really happy to be here for you guys. So I'm in a place where I'm fortunate to be able to push myself every now and then, even when I am feeling less than 100%. And yeah, I rewatched a lot of last week's video and I did come off pretty harsh. You could tell that I was pushing myself because I felt like in my answers to you guys, I was being extra pushy and extra hard, which was just a direct reflection of how I was being with myself in that moment. So I do want to say if anyone felt like I was a little too harsh or they didn't appreciate the way I talked to them last week, that I do acknowledge it and I am sorry and I don't want to be, I'm not normally that way and I don't plan on being that way in the future. It's definitely a signal for me to, you know, maybe take it easier, either cut the live stream or make them shorter when I'm not feeling well. And that's part of this lifelong lesson of how much to push and how much to rest. Still working on it. And as much as I talk about doing that for your own healing journey, learning to pace yourself, learning to crash less as being essential for healing, you don't have to be perfect at it, right? We're not after perfection. We're just after being as good about it as you can be, with the goal of completely avoiding relapses while also having compassion for yourself and knowing that sometimes there are circumstances in life that are worth it. Oh, Nika, thank you. You don't feel like I was too harsh? Oh, what's going on with my hair with this photo? You feel it and it's driving me nuts. I'm happy to hear that because I do feel like I was harsher than normal. But maybe sometimes people need to hear that. You know, I don't know. Everyone needs, it's not even about people. It's about each person where they're at in life needs to hear things a different way for it to stick. And who knows, maybe someone needed to hear it that way last week. All right, questions? Anybody? What's some interesting stuff that's been going on? I'm really excited for tonight personally because I'm launching this business and I'm going to a big networking event tonight. There's going to be like close to 100 people, 100 business owners. And I have my own vendor table. For the first time ever, I'm going to be at a networking event and I'm going to be manning a vendor table the whole time. So my business is working with companies to help their teams and their people navigate burnout, ideally to help them avoid burnout in the first place, but more likely and more often helping them overcome the early signs of burnout, which is pretty much all the same stuff I talked to you guys about. It's the same life skills just being applied to people who aren't as severely ill. and in a way that I can like help transform company cultures and help transform the way people work and help people continue to make a big impact on the world with their work. That's really what I'm most excited about, is working with people who want to be working because they're excited about what they do, because they love their team, because they love the company's mission, and they need to learn how to work in a sustainable way. So since I'm offering like a service like that, like having a vendor table is a little bit unusual, and I have to get creative about making my vendor table interesting and getting people to talk to me. So I'm going to have like a big computer monitor there, and I have a bunch of information like looping on a video on that. I think that's different. I don't see a lot of people in small businesses doing that kind of like video content at their vendor booth. I am going to have it covered in really cozy blankets, so it looks really warm and inviting. And I am going to have a little like spa setup. Maybe that's giving it too much credit, but I'm going to have red light therapy there for people to do while they're hanging out at the event and while they're talking to me at my booth. So it's been quite a while. I've talked about red light therapy before. It's one of the things that's helped me post recovery. It's one of those things that's given me like that extra 2% edge of feeling even better, even more energized on a daily basis. Because red light therapy, which I'm not going to go into details of it, there's a lot of details and nuances there. But when you have the right spectrum, the right intensity of red light hitting your skin, your bare skin, at the event it's going to be on your face, but at home, you could do it like over your whole body. These red light wavelengths hit your cells and actually directly interact with your mitochondria, and they cause your mitochondria to produce more ATP, and ATP is the energy molecule. So like red light therapy directly increases the energy that your body is producing. It's not going to cure ME/CFS. It doesn't create that much energy, but for someone who's healthy, it does, I feel, give me that extra 2% edge on a daily basis, which is great. Because I don't drink caffeine. I can't drink coffee. I can't drink green tea. Most normal healthy people, when they want that edge to work harder, they go get more caffeine. I don't have that option because it doesn't cooperate with my body. I don't feel well when I drink caffeine, even in small doses. So like red light therapy is that edge for me, and it's something I want to teach other people about, because I think it'll help other people get that edge, especially when they're starting to feel burned out. So I have all this stuff ready to go for tonight, and it's my first time doing it. And I'm just really stoked. I'm really jazzed about getting to do this. It's going to be a hard night. It's going to be 2.5 hours behind a booth, just talking to people all night. Hopefully people come up to me and start conversations. And I'm going to make it a little bit fun. I have a fun element where I have these great little glittery gold stars. Like you guys have heard of, like, when kids do a good job, they get a gold star, and they have a chart and they'll get gold stars and everything. So I'm just going to be handing out gold stars to people tonight, being like, you've done a great job showing up and networking today, or just whatever, just making it fun. Just, letting people feel good about creating a little moment of celebration for doing something little for themselves. I think people don't celebrate the small moments in life enough. We can find more joy and happiness in our lives by celebrating the small moments. And this is something I think applies to you guys as well. We talked about it a little bit last time, learning to be grateful for the things that you do have in your life right now. I know we tend to get so focused on the things we've lost and the things we want and don't have, and the things we want and can't have right now. But focusing on those all the time gets us really stuck in those heavy emotions and is really energy draining. So when we can learn to be grateful for the small little things that we do have and spend a little more time focusing on those, it can be really energy giving and saving. Nika, how does it feel working out again? You used to hit workouts and you loved it and you miss it so much. I mean, Nika, working out feels amazing. Like working out is one of those things where I continue to make it a point to express gratitude when I get to go work out. It's been years of getting to work out whenever I want to now. But when I am out there, I try to say, man, this is amazing. I can do this again. I can remember when I couldn't do any of this stuff. Fuck, this feels good. Like there's so much freedom in it and getting to choose how I spend time and my energy. And then there's so much joy. Like I love being active. I've always been athletic. I've always been one to be playing outside all day, to be riding my bike everywhere, to be in sports. And as an adult, you lose some of that because you've got to be, for me at least, like, I've always had an office job, so you sit in a chair a lot in front of a laptop. But man, it feels great. It feels great to push myself sometimes, to feel that sweat coming out of my pores again. Because one of my symptoms when I was really sick was I didn't sweat. I couldn't sweat. Even if I got too hot, instead of sweating, I would just feel extremely ill. Like my body couldn't sweat. It was weird. And yeah, just every little bit of it feels really, really good. Oh, Raph, I can see why you're hesitant to ask this one, and this is a hard one, and I do have things to say about this. Yeah, you haven't made me uncomfortable. You didn't make Mika uncomfortable. I think everyone who's been on this channel so far is an adult, at least 20 or older. Jack, I think, was always the youngest on, and I don't think this is going to make him uncomfortable. So, okay, so Raph, what the question you asked is a big one. I'm going to jump to your second question first because I think I have a little answer to that, and then I'll jump back up. So, are you worried about the coronavirus? You're not immune compromised, but you're weaker than the average healthy person. So here's the thing. If you're afraid of coronavirus, you should be like 20 times more afraid of getting the flu. So I know people are making a big deal about the coronavirus because it's spreading and people are dying from it. But I wish I'd saved this. My sister, who is in pharmacy school right now, so she's in the medical industry, shared this really great graphic that showed how the flu virus itself is actually way more deadly than the coronavirus has been so far. Way more people who get flu end up dying. So if you're not worried about the flu, if you feel like your body can weather the flu, you can probably weather the coronavirus too. And also, the flu is actually way more contagious than the coronavirus. So like, even if you were like next to a person who has the flu and next to a person who has the coronavirus, it's more likely that the flu virus is going to get past you than the coronavirus because of the level of contagiousness. So like, it's one of these things that like, it's probably hype. I'm not a doctor. I don't know these things. I'm not telling you to not take precautions against them if you feel like you need to. But I'm personally not spending my time worrying about it. I'm washing my hands extra just in case I do get exposure to anything. I'm not touching my face as often. I'm trying not to do hand to mouth or anything like that without washing my hands first. Basic precautions. But for me, I'm not spending any time on it. And if anyone's heard anything that contradicts what I've heard, feel free to share it. Like, we can talk about it. I don't claim to know everything about coronavirus. It's just what I've been exposed to. The info I've been exposed to. My info bubble. Okay. So Raph, he has a problem with frequent masturbation. It's an easy escape for when you're in pain or just bored. You feel immediately better when you refrain from it, but you can't not keep doing it. So there's a lot here. I don't think I've ever talked out loud about this stuff, even though I definitely have my own thoughts about it. So clearly, masturbating takes up a lot of energy. All right. And even healthy people who do it too often experience negative side effects. I mean, where do I want to go with this? Actually, I'm going to pause while the sirens are going. Those are probably pretty loud. It'll give me a chance to collect my thoughts while we let the sirens pass. Man. So we know that the act is like right beneath us right now. I'll show you how high up we are while we're letting it pass. We're 26 floors up. And that's the ambulance that's making all the noise there. Actually, really cool. I'm really holding onto my laptop tight. I don't know if you can see it there at the end of the street. That's actually City Hall in Philadelphia. We're right down the street from City Hall. You may have seen that in some movies from the 90s. All right, maybe the ambulance is far enough away that it's not. Oh, it just stopped. Okay, now we're good. I know, right, Rav? Okay, so you've seen different info than I have about how many people it kills. All right, so maybe I need to go read up on it again. I'm still not worrying about it. I'm still not, personally. Okay. So there's like really two problems present here, Raf. The one is the act of masturbating is clearly very energy draining. The act takes a lot of energy, and then orgasm and ejaculation take a lot of energy as well. Like your muscles are working really hard to make that moment happen, and you do get, obviously, it feels good. It feels good. But the problem is when we're as ill as we are, that trade-off usually isn't enough. Like it usually takes more energy than it leaves us feeling good, right? So it's costing us energy every time we do it. So anything that's costing us energy, we need to really be asking ourselves, like, what is this adding to my life? Like, if eating costs you energy, it's clearly worth eating. If going to the bathroom costs you energy, it's clearly worth going to the bathroom. But with this one, maybe occasionally it's worth it, but it's not worth it if it's happening frequently. And the other issue is this drive. It sounds like there's a compulsion to do it, which you're not alone in. I mean, a lot of people have sort of like an addiction to masturbating often. And it's becoming a bigger issue with men, actually. There's, this whole world of porn addiction and porn addiction recovery that's kind of maybe flying under the radar. I don't think it's super talked about, but in a lot of groups I'm on online, where there's a lot of online health coaches, it's definitely becoming like a booming business. People who can actually help these people get better are making a lot of money because there's just a lot of people who need help with it. So anything that feels like that much of a compulsion, something you can't stop yourself from doing, something that isn't necessary for life and something that is actually taking away from your life and you can't stop doing it, that's definitely a negative addiction. And man, the psychology of addiction is really complex, but a lot of it comes down to, I don't want to say deficiency. It comes down to inadequate oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine. I mean, masturbation is definitely a huge dopamine release, no doubt about it. And we crave dopamine release in that way when we're not getting it elsewhere. And some of the newer research, the more interesting research on addiction that's coming out is showing that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, okay? It's not that you're either sober or you're addicted to something. They're actually saying that the opposite of addiction is human connection, all right? You can have two people start doing the same drug and one person won't become addicted to it and the other person will. And, there's been terms for that person who becomes addicted. They have an addictive personality. It's in their genes. They're predisposed to it. But we're learning more that there's a lot of environmental factors that influence addiction and addictive personality. And I've seen this in my own life, like people who get addicted to drugs versus people who do a lot of drugs and don't get addicted. The people who don't get addicted have very strong family lives. They have very strong bonds to people that they're in touch with frequently. They have a lot of that oxytocin being produced from human interaction. They have a lot of dopamine and serotonin being produced in their lives because they're part of a human community. And people who tend to get addicted to things tend to be isolated emotionally from others. And it's not about proximity to people, because you can be close to people and still feel very alone inside. And on the other end of the spectrum, you can be far away from the people you really love a lot, physically far away from them, but still have a feeling of connection and community. And it's really about how you feel about your human connections. You feel close and connected and like you're part of something. You're going to have oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin being released in healthy ways from healthy sources. And if you don't feel like you have those things, if you don't feel connected to other humans deeply and frequently, you're going to be lacking in oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. So it's I just want to like validate this as a very natural human instinct to look for, to seek out that dopamine response. Okay. Like, but it's also just as human to realize that like, okay, this isn't really serving me to get dopamine in that way. And I know I'm opening a can of worms because establishing human connection, human bonds while you're severely ill already, when you have so little energy to keep yourself alive, you have so little energy to do the basics of life, that relationship building can feel extremely daunting if you don't naturally have those things already, because it usually means that there's some sort of internal and or external barrier to deep connected relationships that's gotten you to where you are. So I don't want this to feel hopeless, but I also want to be able to talk about it factually from my point of view. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not an addiction expert. This is stuff that I've actually spent a lot of time reading about, addictive behaviors, addiction recovery, and it's also something I personally have had experience with in my life. And I can say from my point of view, my addictive behaviors decreased dramatically and almost completely went away when I started to build deeper, more frequent human connection in my life. So when I say all of these things, that's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from personal experience and personal exposure to information, not the authority on it. I am just one perspective since you asked the question. All right, let me check up on the comments. All right, Nika's acupuncturist advised you to orgasm because you have a lot of blocked energy in your pelvic area. So like, that's okay. Like if, I understand like the traditional Chinese medicine concept of qi and energy flow. And they have this whole idea of like, if you have stagnant energy, you need to move that energy out of your system in order to balance the rest of your body. And once you can achieve flow through your whole body again, because you've gotten rid of stagnant energy, you're going to achieve better health and better energy and all that kind of stuff. So if you're adhering to traditional Chinese medicine principles, in that case, you are being told to do this for a limited period of time to reestablish balance in your body, and if that is your treatment plan that you're dedicating yourself to, then that is advice I would follow. But it's also not telling you to go ahead and masturbate frequently forever, right? Like you're looking to reestablish balance in your body. And once you reestablish balance, you're probably going to want to recalibrate that habit again, would be my guess. But your acupuncturist would be they would be the authority on that. But I do want to address it because, because it's about context. Everything we do, all the treatments we need are all about within the context of what our bodies need. Like if Raph doesn't have that blocked energy in his pelvis area, it's not going to influence his body the same way it would influence your body when you do it. So context is super, super important. Raph says it's true. He misses oxytocin. You can feel it. Yes, you can. Yes. It's like oxytocin produces a very wonderful, dreamy, happy sensation in our bodies when it's high. That it was originally thought of as like the bonding hormone because they saw it spiked really high in mothers and infants in the first moments of life, those first moments of touch. But we're learning that it actually increases all of the time. And while it does help bond us to others, it's also actually really, really important for optimal health. Like we're designed to be communal creatures. We're designed to be stimulating oxytocin through human connection all of the time. When your neighbor said hi to you, You cold turkey stopped for 2 weeks without effort because you felt so embraced. Raf, like, I want to cry. That's so beautiful. It's so stark because you're clearly so in need of this oxytocin and human connection that one high gives you what you need for 2 weeks. I mean, that's the power of human connection. Oh God. it's so powerful, and it's something our entire medical establishment ignores. You know, when they don't let family in to see very ill patients, that lack of touch can hurt a sick person. I'm not going to go down that tangent, but yeah, I mean, look at how easy it was. Look at how easy it was to quit for 2 weeks from one brief interaction. That's beautiful that you felt so embraced. And I know it's really hard, Raph, but the more you seek out those moments of feeling embraced, and the more you're able to create those in your life, like that's the kind of thing it's worth doing extra work, spending extra energy trying to create a little bit more human interaction and connection in your life. And so, I mean, you do have the human interaction, like doing everything you can to make it count, really showing up, really choosing to be vulnerable in a healthy way, reciprocating emotion and touch, hugs, making, trying to hug somebody or even just touch their arm or something produces oxytocin. The more of those things you can do, the less of an issue this is going to be for you. I believe. My opinion only. My non-doctor educated opinion. So yeah, Raph, that's my take, and it feels like that's resonating really hard with you. So I'm glad you asked the question. I'm glad we had a little talk about it. And I'm sure there's someone else listening to this either live or during the recording who is going to hear this, and it's going to resonate with them. And I hope it gives them hope to go seek out more of that oxytocin too. Is it dawn or dusk over there? It's neither. It is 1:30 in the afternoon. So for people who weren't on early, people who joined later, I'll show you where I'm sitting. I'm sitting at my apartment, but I'm sitting on our balcony right now because my apartment is full of vacuum cleaners and people on calls. So it's quieter out here on the balcony than it is inside. This looks confusing because this is floor-to-ceiling windows, and they're very reflective, but you can see I'm actually sitting on the balcony here. And then this is like the building that's been reflected behind me the whole time. So you can see the skies. It's overcast, but it's not that dark, but it's afternoon here. It's just a really cloudy, drizzly, rainy, kind of cold day as I'm sitting out here in my big, big jacket. And my hair is driving me nuts. All right. Better. Yeah, no, great question. Great question, Raf. Let's see, at 1:37. Okay, so I do have to hop off a few minutes early today. Normally I'll go all the way until 2 p.m. or sometimes we'll go to like 2:30 if there's a lot of great questions coming in. But I have a work-related call at 2 p.m., which is in 23 minutes, and I'm going to need to hop off maybe like 5 minutes early. So if you've got questions, now is the time to get them in the chat box so we can talk about them some more. Let me think. I just saw my doctor. I was at a doctor appointment this morning, and I ran in the door and quickly figured out where to hold this call and came outside. So let me reflect on if there's anything my doctor shared with me today, any new info that you guys might find really, really interesting. Because he's always dropping new knowledge bombs on me. He stays really up to date on really interesting research that's being done. And he's a really, really big proponent of taking iodine. He thinks everyone should be supplementing with iodine. And he's found stuff from the 1800s and from like the early 1930s and 1940s where they were using extremely, extremely high doses of iodine to cure a range of health issues. They were using it in place of penicillin, like for really severe infections that penicillin couldn't treat. They were successfully using extremely high doses of iodine to treat those without thyroid issues. they were treating stage 3 syphilis with extremely, extremely high doses of iodine. They used it to sanitize their medical equipment, surgery equipment back in the day very successfully. Iodine is a really powerful element. It's something that's crucial for health, but has a lot of stigma around it currently. And it's hard to understand why, for the most part, it has so much stigma. Because if used properly, if you are able to support the body's detox process, because iodine does kick off heavy metal detox. But if you can support that process, iodine can be extremely helpful for you. So it's something that if you guys haven't read anything about iodine, or you haven't worked with a practitioner who's recommended iodine yet, it might be worth digging a little more into that and seeing if you think it's something that might be something you'd want to try on your healing journey. Because buying iodine, it's very inexpensive as far as supplements go. Very, very inexpensive. I think I buy a 6 month supply for like $40, maybe $45 for 6 month supplies. As far as supplements go, that's insanely cheap. I wouldn't necessarily experiment with it on your own because it can have really, really negative side effects. Like I said, if you have mercury or lead, it can kick that stuff out of hiding. And then when it's mercury and lead are floating around in your bloodstream again, they can cause really negative symptoms and make you feel a lot worse if you aren't supporting your body in protecting yourself from the effects of that in your bloodstream, and then also actually get that out through your stool and your urine. Anything else super interesting you shared with me? I don't think so. Let's see. I don't think Lisa's on today, but I wanted to tell Lisa. Oh, I'll tell Lisa and then I'll come back to Nika's question. I did get interviewed by Dan Neufler, and he doesn't know when the interview is going to go up, but it is the next one he's going to post. He's going to basically jump it to the front of the line because we had such a great conversation together. He wants to get it out. So that's pretty exciting. So thank you to Lisa for connecting me to Dan Neufler. If you guys aren't familiar with Dan, he actually created the ANS Rewire program. I have not taken the program. I have not looked at the program, but I learned actually that a friend of mine who has healed from severe chronic fatigue actually used Dan's ANS Rewire program to heal. It wasn't the only thing he needed, but it was a huge part of his healing journey. So if you guys have been considering ANS Rewire, I can say that it does seem very legit. I can't say it's what everyone needs to heal. It's probably not what every single person needs to heal. But for those who need the autonomic nervous system reset like he offers, it is a legit protocol because I know someone who's used it to heal. And after talking to Dan, I believe Dan is extremely legit and very knowledgeable about what it takes to heal. And he and I are, almost completely on the same page regarding the mindset component and what it takes to heal. So I can say he's someone who I align with on what it takes and the type of advice we give. And I would just say, yeah, his program would be worth looking into if you think that an autonomic nervous system reset is what you need as a major chunk of your healing journey. This is not an official recommendation, just a suggestion to go check it out. Yeah, Dan is great, and he cares so much about you guys and works so hard, and he's really struggling to not have a day job. He would love to just help people like you guys 24/7. He has so much passion and energy to pour into that. But the reality of it is that having a business helping people who are really sick with chronic fatigue syndrome is extremely hard because people are extremely skeptical for a good reason. We understand why, but it's a very, very hard business to be in. And he can only dedicate, occasional nights and weekends to it right now. He needs a full-time day job. So any support you can get, I think it's a good thing. All right. So do I take iodine tablets or tincture? I've used both, but I take quite a high dose of iodine. So the tablets have always been much better for me. Like Lugol's, I guess actually Lugol's is probably about as strong as iodoral. The tablets But I don't remember noticing a difference between taking the tincture versus taking the pills. So I take half of an iodoral every day, almost every day. um, quick note about my iodine, actually. So I started taking iodine about 10 years ago when I first diagnosed my iodine deficiency. And oh man, I forget the percentages now. I was taking like 90 times the recommended daily allowance. I was taking 90 times the RDA of iodine on a daily basis when I first started taking iodine 10 years ago. And I felt amazing. It was what I needed. There were times when I took like 300 times the RDA of iodine daily. And I felt really great doing that too. Not everyone does. Some people can't even take one full RDA of iodine without feeling detox symptoms. So it's very, very personal. That's why you really need someone who knows what they're doing to guide you through it. I currently take about 40 times the RDA. Yeah, I'd say like 40 times the RDA. So 4,000% of what they say is a healthy dose of iodine is what I take every day for actual health. Although I did actually just today, I picked up an iodine tincture. I have a little thing happening on my nose, like a little rash on my nose. And my doctor is like, well, why don't you try putting iodine tincture on it and see what happens? Because I've been trying to treat this thing for a year, and like the rash on my nose isn't resolving itself. So we're going to try treating it directly with iodine. We'll see what happens. Raf, he doesn't like it when people are secretive with their programs. I'm curious what you mean by secretive with their programs, Raf. I don't know what that means. Like you don't feel like they share enough details of the program, or like they make you buy the program before like giving you all the info, or like what does that mean? I'm curious. Raf, do I think pets are a good oxytocin supplement, or could it be too much work and cost coming with it? You know, that's really hard, Raf. I think if there's nothing else you have, I think it is a good oxytocin supplement. It's definitely not a full replacement for human interaction, but it is way better than nothing. The problem with pets is a lot of what you said. It's the time and energy and the cost, because if they get sick, they need to go to the vet. They need medicine. They need to be fed. They need to be groomed. You know, like they need a lot. And, you know, having a dog or something that needs to go for walks every day probably is out of the question. You probably need something that's much lower maintenance. But with cats, like you get a cat, you might not get a cat that likes to cuddle. You know, I have definitely lived with a cat. It wasn't my cat. It was someone else's cat. Actually, a couple cats now. They don't want to cuddle. They don't want to be touched. They just kind of want to be left alone to do their own thing all the time. And you get that cat and suddenly you have this thing that's taking up your money and your energy, and you're not getting oxytocin out of it. You know, if you went with something easier like a hamster or a gerbil, something little that's small that you can just kind of like hang out with it. Especially if you're nocturnal, I think hamsters and gerbils are nocturnal. They're like better to play with at night. They're more active at night. That could be a good thing. But like, I guess what I'm saying is I would just be really, really thoughtful about what pet you get to make sure that you're getting the trade-off that you're looking for here. Like, they can't be too much effort. They can't be too much money. They can't be too much time. And they need to be cuddly enough and cute enough to give you that oxytocin release, right? So it's definitely a balancing act. If you could get an older cat that had a pretty stable personality, that it's not likely to have that personality change if it moves in with you, that could be a good thing. Or, you know, maybe one way to get to know one of your neighbors is if one of your neighbors has a pet, maybe you could offer to pet sit it every now and then. Like if they would be happy dropping it off in your apartment with water and food, you could watch the pet for them when they're out or something. Maybe that could be like a low cost, low investment way to get some pet time, you know? Yeah, try to get creative about how to get that trade-off. that you're looking for. I do think it would be worth it if you don't feel like getting that connection is necessarily going to happen for you. That human to human connection is going to happen for you like you want it to, or while you're working on building that back up. Okay, when Raf says they are vague in the description, no specifics in the description. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's hard to know how much info to share sometimes. Everyone needs a little bit different, something different to be convinced to buy programs. But yeah, okay. That's good to know. More specifics. Let's see. All right. I've got another like 5 minutes I can be on. I can get in like 1 or 2 more questions. Since we're just sitting here, I'm waiting for your questions. I can show you my sweet new shoes I got. I love these sneakers. I am in love with them. Like you wouldn't believe. Check these out. Oh, there's my. Aren't they sweet? They're just like Converse sneakers, but they're platform, glittery, pastel colors, with a leather upper, so they'll last longer. Pretty expensive sneakers too. I love wearing these things around. They're so much fun. All right, Raf says they have a cat and recently a dog. I'm assuming that means your neighbors have a cat and a dog. They also let their deliveries being handed over to you, so they do trust you to some level. That's great. Yeah, I would focus on that as a way to get some oxytocin and pet time in, because the great thing about that is the pet transfer times, you're going to get a little more human interaction too, right? So you're getting a little bit of both in that scenario, and I think that is the biggest win because it's also the lowest commitment for you, time-wise and energy-wise, financially. Go for it. I got to come up with something to be entertaining while I'm waiting for questions. All right. So if there aren't any more questions, I'm keeping my eye on the live chat while I say this, but if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to head out and have a few minutes for a bio break and to finish eating my lunch, which is sitting here. I didn't even finish my salad before I had to hop on here. Got stuff on my fingers. As always, sending you guys so much love and health. We're going to do this again, same time next week, 1 p.m. Eastern, next Thursday. And if I don't see you in the Facebook group, which is linked to down below, happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. And self-love is the most important love. The more self-love you can give yourself, the better you're going to feel. Maybe not health-wise, but at least internally, you're going to have a better quality of life. All right. Signing off. Ciao, guys. Bye.